Hey, and welcome to this edition of Road Warrior. I'm your host, Grant Roberson. Now, vehicles don't get redesigned that often, but when they do, you really want to take notice. And behind me is such an example, the 2015 Chevy Tahoe. Now, what you're going to see is a little bit of trimming and some sculpting on the outside and some refinements on the inside as well. Now, Chevy's been in the SUV business for about 80 years, and with that, you don't want to grow older, you actually want to grow a little bit more youthful, and they've done that here for 2015. Now, the previous model obviously took that square box-like design, put it on four wheels, so when they come to this model, maybe they want to make it a little bit more refined looking. So obviously they put it to clay, got out their sculpting knives, and just add a little bit more chisel down the midline right here. Now, another nice feature you're going to notice right off the bat is that new headlight assembly up front. That kind of zigzag pattern on the left side. That really pronounces that this is a new design. Now, if you look at the overall numbers, they didn't grow by any means because it's basically 204 inches overall, about 2 inches bigger than the previous model. As for wheelbase, it stays the same at 116 inches, and the overall height a little bit less, with the width growing just a hair more. Now, some other key design features really came down to aerodynamics. Now, we've lowered this just a hair, but another key feature is really these doors. Now, before, the doors would close and actually overlap the body. Now they've actually closed and actually go underneath the roof line. Now, that may sound trivial, but what it does is make it a lot more aerodynamic, give it a lot less wind drag, which equates to noise, and really goes right underneath this roof. So it gives it a nice secure fit and allows that wind to really flow right over this body. Now, this model we're testing is the LTZ, which means you're going to get a little bit more bling for your money. Now, the standard tire on these Tahoe is the 18-inch. When you go to the LTZ, 20-inch is standard. Now, they come in two forms, either the brushed aluminum or the chrome accent rim. Now, of course, if you really want to upgrade, you can go to the whopping 22-inch wheels to really set this thing off. Now, anytime you do a redesign, you want to look at horsepower under the hood also to see if you can maybe tweak out some better numbers. Now, they've done that here on the 2015 Tahoe. Now, looking at the engine, they've gone back with the 5.3-liter V8, but now they're producing 355 horses versus 320 from last year. Now, with those numbers, of course, you want to make sure fuel economy doesn't suffer, and they've actually gone up there the same. Now, last year was about 15 to 21 miles per gallon. Now, they've tweaked just a little bit more at about 16 to 23 miles per gallon. Now, the way they do that, of course, is with some cylinder cutoff like technology, basically meaning when you're at like full speed or have some type of less aggressive driving, you're going to see that the V8 actually goes down to a four-cylinder like operation. This is going to give you better fuel economy, and the way you know this is actually happening is on the dash. When you see a V4 pop up, you're in kind of a fuel economy mode. Now, obviously, when you step the gas, it's going to institute the V8 and obviously suck a little bit more gallons down the drain. Now, this is, of course, coupled with the 6-speed automatic transmission as well. Now, one thing I've complained about on certain GM vehicles is the fact they don't come with the old smart key systems. They actually come with more of the traditional like key. Now, what's great for 2015 on this Tahoe is they've introduced the smart key. Now, what that basically means, of course, is you go to the driver's door, press the button, it's going to unlock the driver, and then press it again, it's going to unlock the whole vehicle. Now, again, this helps with ingress. Now, once you're inside, no fiddling with keys, simply press the start button on the dash, and this vehicle's ready to go. Now, in any SUV, of course, you're going to talk about cargo space just as much as about passenger comfort. So as you swing around to the rear cargo, obviously on this LTZ, it's going to have a lot of options and bang for your buck, and one of those is the rear lift gate. Now, as it rises, what you're going to notice is typical cargo space behind that third row, about 15 cubic feet. Now, another thing you're going to notice, of course, is this elevated floor. Now, right here at the back, you're going to have a little storage kind of trunk, a little area where you can put items, maybe that are going to slide around or you just want to stow away. Now, with this added height, you're obviously maybe minimizing the overall height here in the cargo area, but I really think this is going to help create one flat floor. Now, once you fold these rear third seats down, you're going to more than triple the space, a little bit more than 50 cubic feet. Now, these rear seats on this particular model are power fold, which basically means you press the button here and these seats are going to fold flat. Now, this is really helpful, obviously, when you're trying to add cargo in one fell swoop. Now, another nice feature, of course, if you're kind of adding plywood or something into this vehicle and you really want to fold those second rows down, you can do it just the same right here, press the button, and those will tumble forward, really creating one huge cargo area. Now, one thing to think about with the rear liftgate, of course, is the ability to press the button that allows it to power down. Now, what's great on this vehicle is they have certain height selectors that you can select on the inside of the vehicle, pretty much helping maybe people a little bit shorter be able to reach that button. Now, the button's right here, you press it and it's going to power down. Now, one thing you're going to find on SUVs that they're really lacking is this rear glass access. Now, what's happening is there's a lot of windshield wipers coming on the glass here, preventing this, allowing it to pop open. Now, what they've done is they fixed that because they've actually tucked the windshield wiper back here behind the rear spoiler. That's going to come down when you need to clean it, otherwise it's out of the way. Now, obviously what this means, when you press the button here, it's going to pop open. Now, this came in real handy, of course, anytime you need to stow gear that was really long but you need to leave the rear hatch closed. Obviously slide it in and you've got plenty of space, even for a 10-foot like drainage pipe, to slide all the way into the vehicle. Now, this is the LTZ model, which means you're going to see a lot of the options that you otherwise wouldn't see on a basic model, and really pushes the bottom line over $60,000 on this vehicle we have here. Now, one thing you're going to notice right off the bat is legroom numbers. Now, they've increased in the second row, but overall there's pretty much comfort anywhere you sit. Now, up front you're going to have about 45 inches, which is well more than enough to really seat anybody of any type height. Now, when you swing around to the second row, they've actually increased it just a little bit up to 39 inches of legroom. Plenty again for any type of comfort. Now, the only place you may find compromising space is really going to be in that third row, which is to be expected, as it's going to be around about 24 inches of space. Now, obviously you're going to put the smaller children back there. Now, as for seating overall, this particular model is going to have a 2+2+3 design, but you can go with a 3-3-3 design, giving you a total of 9 possible occupants in this vehicle. Now, on this LTZ, obviously you're going to think about options and all the technology that's going to come with this particular model, and one of them is right here on the screen, and that is the touchscreen MyLink system. Now, we've tested this on a lot of vehicles, and what we like, of course, is they're always fixing the bugs, integrating new technology, and really this current version of it really simplifies life, because it all is touchscreen, simplifies buttons on the dash, and has all the options you could possibly want. Now, another feature we've talked about on Cadillac models is a security feature they have behind these screens. You simply press this button right here. This screen is going to rise up and have kind of a little storage area, even with a USB-like connection, allowing you to put devices back there that you may want to not leave unsecured. Now, obviously press this, it's going to secure back. Now, one of the biggest things you want to talk about for 2015 is 360 degrees of safety on this vehicle. And what I'm referring to, of course, are the old standards that you may be familiar with and some new ones. Now, what it comes with is kind of a radar-like system. Again, as you're parking, it's going to give you a radar up front. For one, kind of a front park assist, giving you an indicator basically how close you are to something. Now, of course, another standard feature as you back up is that rear-mounted camera, again with the sensors, allowing you to kind of obviously see your way through tight spots. Now, they do have blind spot awareness as well. As a vehicle is in that blind spot, it'll give you an indicator, and of course lane departure. That's going to be helpful if you start to veer across the lanes when you're driving. Now, another nice feature I love is the adaptive cruise control. Now, that pretty much you set your cruise. If the vehicle pulls in front of you, it's going to slow down. As you go into an empty lane, then it'll speed back automatically, and it actually gives you a little indicator telling you how close that vehicle is. Now, another nice feature that they've included is a center airbag system, and then basically how it works is if you're in a far side like impact, like the driver maybe has a far side impact, it'll actually inflate to give you another added protection. Now, in this particular model, we do have dual climate controls, and we've seen these type of systems on the previous model, so nothing really changed here. But one feature I do like on this model versus other vehicles out there is the ability to control the rear air right up here from the front, and it does everything from mode to temperature to even locking out the rear controls so no one can really access it from back there, and you can even turn it off. Now, as you sweep down, you're going to notice that there's obviously heated and cooled seats on this particular model. Now, when you look in here in this little niche, you're going to find dual USB connections and a power adapter as well, the old standard dual cup holders. But really, when you sweep around to this huge center console, what's great about it is the ability to really store anything, and what they're touting is the ability, of course, to put an iPad in here, but even a full-size laptop. Now, other things you're going to find, of course, are the SD reader and 2 USB connections as well. Now swinging around here to the back area of the Tahoe, you can obviously upgrade this to entertainment if you prefer, and obviously the rear entertainment is the go-to choice for any family. Now it does have the widescreen, comes with 2 headphones, and of course the remote and all the ease of functionality that you can expect. Now as for lighting back here, you got the standard LED, which really illuminates this interior even with this dark black like we have here. Now as for seating, again, you can go with 3 design or with the captain chairs like we have here. Now as you go to the back 3rd row, you're going to notice it's kind of a step up, obviously a little bit more elevated as you get to that 3rd row. But focusing here on the 2nd row, one thing you want to think about is the ability to change this over to cargo, and it's really made simple. You simply pull the handle on the side, it's going to tumble forward even with the headrest in place. Now if you pull the handle again, it's going to tumble forward, which is really helpful of course with anybody trying to climb into the 3rd row area. Now one thing to always think about when you have a vehicle like this is the ability to tow, and with this you're going to have plenty of capacity, around about 8,400 to 8,600 pounds depending on how you equip it, whether 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive. Now with that type of towing capacity, you're really going to be able to tow anything you possibly think of, from full-size boats to of course the standard jet skis. That does it for this edition of Road Warrior and our test drive behind the wheel of the all-new 2015 Chevy Tahoe. Now, obviously, if you have your flag at half-staff, that means you had the previous model and you really had kind of come to love that box-like design. Now, obviously, for 2015, they balled up the paper on that previous design and gone with something a little bit better. Obviously, you have last year's model. Now this is the new. Now things we like, of course, is that nice new front end headlight assembly, a little bit of chisel down the side, and of course the standard operating procedure on the hood and interior comfort. Now as always, we'd like to thank you for watching this edition of Road Warrior, and keep both hands on the wheel and eyes straight ahead.